Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I welcome all of you to this exclusive program, TV talk shows and analysis. I, Dr. Muhammad Naik, am your host and moderator for this program. We have with us Dr. Zakir Naik. Dr. Zakir Abdul Karim Naik, president of the Islamic Research Foundation, is renowned as a dynamic international orator on Islam and comparative religion. Dr. Zakir is famous for his critical analysis to challenging questions posed by audiences after his public talks. In the last 13 years, he has delivered over 1,300 public talks worldwide. He has successfully participated in dialogues and debates with prominent personalities of other faiths. His public dialogue with Dr. William Campbell of USA in Chicago on April 1st, 2000 was a resounding success in presenting the compatibility of Quran with established science. His interfaith dialogue with the famous Indian guru C.C. Ravi Shankar on the topic, the concept of God in Hinduism and Islam in the light of sacred scriptures, held in Bangalore on 21st January 2006, was very well appreciated for propounding the oneness of God Almighty. The Indian Express included Dr. Zakir Naik in its list of the 100 most powerful Indians in 2009, as well as in 2010, amongst the billion-plus population of India. He was ranked at the third most powerful spiritual guru after Sri Sri Ravi Shankar and Baba Ramdev in 2009, and this year in 2010, he superseded them too. Dr. Zakir appears regularly on many international TV channels throughout the world. He is the spirit and brain behind Peace TV, which is watched worldwide by over 100 million viewers. Dr. Zakir Naik stood out most eloquently for Islam and Muslims in his TV talk show, Walk the Talk, conducted by Shekhar Gupta, editor-in-chief of Indian Express, on the NDTV program Walk the Talk, aired on 7th and 8th of March 2009. Dr. Zakir Naik appears regularly on many international TV channels in over 200 countries worldwide. Hundreds of his talks, dialogues, and debates are available on VCDs and DVDs. He has authored books on Islam and comparative religion. Peace TV, his brainchild, has become one of his most impactful, unmitigated, and far-reaching phenomena worldwide in creating a better awareness of Islam and removing misconceptions about Islam. The ever-increasing, over 100 million viewers, avid viewers of Peace TV, are evolving into mass defenders of the true, just, and peaceful Islamic message for humanity at large, and challenging the negative stereotyping of Islam and Muslims worldwide by some powerful corporate media, anti-Islamic governments, and vested interests. As far as our topic for today goes, TV talk shows. A dictionary meaning of a TV talk show is a program during which well-known people discuss a topic or answer questions asked or telephoned in by the audience. We start today's program by asking our guest tonight, Dr. Zakir Naik, directly about the differences of these various talks and the formats they tend to follow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to our show, Dr. Zakir.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's my pleasure.
Our audience here and all over who respect you so much would first of all like to be clear on this concept. What is the difference between a TV interview, a panel discussion, a TV talk show, and a TV talk?
Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. As far as the difference is concerned between a TV talk or a TV interview or a panel discussion or a TV talk show is that a TV talk is just a continuous talk given by a speaker or a specialist or a celebrity in front of a camera. He has got no audience, he's directly facing the camera, and there's no interruption whatsoever. As far as the TV interview is concerned, it is an interview taken by a host of a celebrity or a specialist in that field. The host asks questions to the celebrity or to the specialist, and he replies to the queries or the questions asked by the host. As far as the panel discussion is concerned, there are a few people on the panel, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5, or many. All of them may be specialists concerning the subject in discussion. Or in the panel, there may be two groups. One may be opposing the subject, one may be in favor of the subject. This is a panel discussion. And there is a moderator. And this moderator sees to it that he gives equal opportunity to all the panelists, and he gets the best out of the show. As far as a TV talk show is concerned, it has evolved recently in the past few decades after the television media has expanded. And in a TV talk show, it's a mixture. In a TV talk show, it may be a host who is interviewing the celebrity or the specialist. And while in interviewing, there may be a group of audience that is listening live, or he can throw the floor open to the people to ask questions on the phone line. If it's a live TV talk show, there can be people who are asking questions on the telephone. Or a TV talk show can be a panel discussion. There can be a few people who are there on the panel. And the moderator, he asks questions to the panelists, whether they belong to the same view or they may belong to opposing view. And while he's asking questions to the panelist, there may be a live audience which is watching. They too can take part in that TV talk show. Or the TV talk show can be thrown open to the people, if it's a live TV talk show, to the people who are watching so that they can ask questions on the telephone. So these are basically the difference between a TV interview, TV talk, a panel discussion, and TV talk shows.
Jazakallah for that basic clarification. Do you personally prefer taking part in a TV interview, a panel discussion, a TV talk show, a TV talk, or a public lecture to present your viewpoint, and why?
If you give me the option amongst all 6, the best I would like is a public lecture. And second I would like is a TV talk. The reason is because in a public lecture and in a TV talk, there is no interruption. I can present my view without being interrupted, because normally if a host is there or if a moderator is there, there are chances, depending upon the moderator, I may be able to present my view, I may not be able to present my view, depending upon the intentions, etc. I prefer a public lecture and a TV talk as compared to the other 3, 4.
If you had a choice to take part in a public lecture or a TV talk, which would you prefer and why?
Compared to a public lecture and a TV talk, but natural, I would prefer a public lecture. Because a public lecture normally is in front of an audience. So, but natural, the impact of a speaker is higher. Speaking in front of a camera looks like speaking in front of a wall. So I prefer personally speaking in public, giving a live lecture. But natural duration is longer. It can be maybe of half an hour or 1 hour or 1.5 hours. That's much better because in a public lecture, normally I stand. In a TV talk, you have to sit normally, so you can stand and also give a TV talk. And in a public lecture, it is much more interesting because you get the reaction of the audience. So when you get the reaction of the audience, the impact and the presentation of a speaker is better. And today, scientific research tells us that when a person gives a public speech or a lecture, 93% depends on his presentation skills, and 7% is the matter. 7% of the marks of the public lecture goes to the content, to the matter of what he speaks. 93% is the presentation skills, but natural, which involves body language, which involves modulation, gestures, eye-to-eye contact. Because when a person speaks, even his eye is speaking, even his hand is speaking. So I personally prefer a public lecture in which a person can present better. He can see the reaction of an audience as compared to a TV talk which is speaking in front of a camera.
Dr. Zakir, you have delivered over 1,000 public lectures worldwide. How many TV talks have you delivered?
But natural, the maximum that I've given in my life is public lectures. As far as TV talks are concerned, maybe a few hundred, I don't know the number, but it will be a few hundred, maybe 300-400 TV talks I've given, alhamdulillah.
Does that mean that you prefer giving lectures and TV talks only and avoid being questioned?
Now, as far as being questioned, I prefer the question and answer better than a public lecture. But being questioned by an interviewer and a moderator is different by being questioned by the public. I prefer being questioned by a questioner. That's the reason whenever I give a public talk, I prefer that the question and answer session is longer than the public lecture. Because a public talk or a public lecture is a monologue. It's a one-way traffic. In a question and answer session, it's a two-way traffic. It's much more interesting for the audience as well as for me. And it's challenging for me that I don't know what question the person is going to ask. So I prefer a question and answer session much better than a TV talk. And that's the reason when we handle question and answer session, when the program is organized by us or when I'm called by the host, I tell them, I prefer the question is asked live. I don't prefer chits. Because when someone gives chits, there are chances if you get maybe 30, 40, 100 questions, you can select what you want to answer. And then the audience may feel that, some questions Zakir has answered, some he hasn't answered. So I normally prefer that in a question and answer session, the questioner lines up behind the microphone and he asks the question live. So no one can say that I'm selecting what I want to answer. So whoever's first in the queue, in the microphone, he is the person who gets the chance. And I personally prefer giving an opportunity first to the non-Muslims, then to the Muslims, because they have a better right to know about Islam than the person who already is a Muslim. So that is the reason we prefer giving chance and opportunity to the non-Muslims. And I enjoy a question and answer session much more than the lecture.
How many TV interviews, panel discussions, or TV talk shows have you taken part in, and why?
As far as TV interviews are concerned, that also may be a few hundred TV interviews. As far as panel discussions are concerned, I don't know the exact number, maybe 50. Same with TV talk shows. I have attended many TV talk shows which are live, and I always prefer attending a TV talk show which is broadcast live, which is telecast live, in which a person's view cannot be edited. So I prefer attending TV talk shows which are broadcast live rather than which are recorded and telecast later after a few days, after a few weeks. As far as panel discussions are concerned, maybe 30, 40, I don't know the exact number, but close to that.
Dr. Zakir, is it right, as most people presume, that you prefer appearing only on Muslim television channels?
Yes, as you asked me that what is the reason that I prefer speaking on a talk show and a public lecture as compared to giving an interview or having a panel discussion, where an interview is concerned, normally it also depends upon the intention and the integrity of the person taking the interview. And that more so ever is important in a panel discussion. The moderator is very important, because if the intentions and the integrity of the moderator are not correct, then there are high chances that the things you speak can be moderated, or it can be rather misrepresented. So what I really say, that the difference between a TV talk and a TV interview is that in a TV interview, the person asking you a question can ask you leading questions, which I've got no problem with, but sometimes they may not give you a chance to complete the answer. But a TV interview is far more safer than a panel discussion and a TV talk show. Because in a panel discussion, since there are many speakers who are there on the panel, maybe 3, 4, or more than that, here the intention and the integrity of the moderator as well as the producer of the show is important. Because if the moderator wants to promote a particular viewpoint which he prefers, he can give more chance to the panelist whose view he agrees with. And there are high chances that he can cut short the answer of the panelist who he doesn't agree with. So therefore, in a panel discussion, when the people are watching at home on the television, if they're not aware of the media, how the media works, they may not know what goes behind the scene. So the moderator can sway the panel discussion. And secondly, it's also important the view, the integrity, and the intention of the producer of the show. Because if the intention of the producer of the show is not correct, and he wants to promote a view, even if on the panel, if there's an expert who can prove the viewpoint of the producer wrong, in the post-production, he can edit the portion which he feels is going against his view. So when you see a TV talk show, you have to keep in mind that what is the integrity and the intention of the producer and the moderator. Because if you doubt the intention of the producer and the moderator and the integrity, what you see finally on the television, in the TV talk show or the panel discussion can be edited. And there are many instances we can give where we can prove that how it can be done. For example, when you're taking an interview and suppose someone asked me that what are your views regarding the policies of George Bush? And suppose if I reply that I do not agree with the policies of George Bush. In the post-production, you can easily edit do not. And it will sound in the show, I am saying, I agree with the policies of George Bush. Actually, I've said, I do not agree with the policies of George Bush. But on the show, it will appear that Zakir Naik is saying, by editing do not, I agree with the policies of George Bush. And if a person who's being interviewed, if he does not know the background of the media, and if he's shown his own interview, he may think, okay, it was a slip of the tongue. He may think, okay, by mistake I said, I agree with the policies of George Bush. So if you show his own interview, and if he does not know how the post-production is done, he will think it was a slip of the tongue. Actually, it wasn't a slip of the tongue. So that is the reason the integrity of the producer of the show and the moderator is very important. And this can even happen more in a panel discussion, where what can be done, that parts of the other panelists can be shown along with the person who you differ with. And he can be made to appear that he's agreeing with the view of the producer or the moderator. So therefore, a panel discussion is more dangerous as compared to a plain TV interview. So that's the reason I personally prefer giving a public lecture and a TV talk as compared to appearing on a TV interview or a panel discussion or TV talk show. But between the three, as I mentioned, I would prefer a TV interview because there's less chances of editing. And even after you edit, if you have said everything correctly, there's less chance of manipulation. But if the intention of the moderator or the person who's the host, who's taking an interview, or the intention of the producer is evil, then there's little chance that you can undo it. In a panel discussion, the moderator has more flexibility of putting down the person he wants to put down and uplifting a person who he wants to uplift. So a panel discussion, I personally prefer being out of a panel discussion unless I'm sure that the integrity of the moderator and the person who's conducting the show and the producer, it is honest, and I believe in it. I normally prefer staying out of panel discussions.
Jazakallah, Dr. Zakir, for explaining that point. We understand this integrity and intention are very vital for you, but we are ultimately human. We may err in this judgment. Ultimately, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is absolute in this kind of understanding. Dr. Zakir, on how many non-Islamic Indian television channels have you appeared on for TV interviews, panel discussions, or TV talk shows? And what is your experience about these appearances?
As far as appearing on non-Muslim TV channels for TV interviews, for TV talk shows, the panel discussion, I have attended more of the foreign ones, foreign TV channels than Indian TV channels. Many times in UK, in South Africa, in USA, in many countries in different parts of the world. As far as Indian TV channels are concerned, as far as my memory goes, maybe I've attended approximately 5. I remember the first one that I attended was a talk show conducted by Farooq Sheikh. And the program was Mard. And the topic of that program was Biwi Ho To Kaisi. You know, that was the first one I attended. And the second one that I remember is I had a panel discussion. It was a live show done by CNN IBN. And I was in the Bombay studios of CNN IBN. And there were 2 panelists from Delhi. That was the second one. And third one, as far as memory goes, was a TV interview that was conducted by R.K. Bajaj on the RKB show. That's on Sahara channel. And the fourth one, again, I think, was the TV interview. It was a different type, on Walk the Talk by Shekhar Gupta, who is the editor-in-chief of Indian Express on NDTV. And the last one recently, just 2 weeks back, or rather 3 weeks back, it was aired 2 weeks back, on the NDTV, and the program was We the People, which was conducted by Barkadat, and the topic was Muslim identity. So these were the 5 programs as far as memory goes.
Means only 5 programs you appeared on. All these years with thousands of lectures on one side and only 5 programs.
If you ask,
You got an opportunity only for that.
I've been asked hundreds of times to appear for talk shows and for panel discussions, at least few hundred, by many channels. You name the channels, you could say easily, most of the channels that have talk shows. I've been asked to appear on many of them, at least a few hundred times. But personally knowing that because I already do come on various other satellite channels, I don't want my views to be changed or to be altered. Because of that, I know what the background is. And I personally don't really think that most of the shows that take place are with the true intention of the topic. Because I doubt that since for a normal man it's different. For me, since I'm a man of the media, and I appear on various satellite channels, and Peace TV alone, alhamdulillah, has a viewership of more than 100 million. And that is absolutely, it's a direct view without the producer of these public lectures or TV shows, without altering the view, and I trust the integrity of the other Muslim channels. That's the reason, because I know that they will not change my view. I've appeared several times on Muslim channels. Because of that, I take care, because I had very bad experiences in these past few TV talk shows. So because of bad experiences, and when I speak to other people who have been on the show, they too have that. And I really agree with you when you said that we cannot actually judge one's integrity until we have proof for the same. Now, because I have spoken with other people who have been on the talk shows, I'm talking about those people who know the media. A person who does not know the media, and if he goes on a talk show, he will not know what goes behind the curtain. So once the talk show is aired, then you can say and be sure what was the integrity of the moderator and what was the integrity of the producer.
For us as lay people to understand how the TV talk shows and the interviews present your viewpoint properly on the positive side and manipulated on the other side. Can you relate to us your experiences, TV talk shows, maybe your first talk show with Farooq Sheikh in brief?
The first talk show I had, I don't remember the year exactly, somewhere I think close to the early part of the 2000 or late part of the 1990s. That was the first TV talk show I attended in India. And as I told you, the program's name was Mard. And the topic of that show was Biwi Ho To Kaisi. And that called a Christian to represent their view. They called a Hindu, and they called myself, and they called an atheist. There were about 4 or 5 people in the panel, and there was an audience like the way we have here. And they asked that how should a woman be, how should she behave, and everyone gave their view, even I gave their view. And when I started speaking, and while I was convinced when I give a reply, but naturally I give with reason and logic. So at the end of the show, the answer that I gave, most of the panelists agreed with it. Initially, they may have differed, but when I gave the reasoning, that's more important for a woman to look after children, look after the home, not that she can't work, as long as work is modest, she can go and work, and all these things. So the show went off very well. And the moderator, Farooq Sheikh, he was a gentleman. And I was very happy. That's the first show that I did on the Indian television channel. I was very happy, fine. I gave the answer, the audience questioned me, and they criticized me, they attacked me, I gave the reply. Now, when I gave the reply, the other audience agreed with my reply. That's what I do normally in a live question and answer session. They ask me a question, I give a reply, and I'm giving equal opportunity. And Farooq Sheikh did a good job. But the bombshell came later on. A few days later on, I got a call from the channel saying that the program did not end the way the producer wanted. So we are going to have a reshoot. So please wear the same suit, same shirt, same tie, same dress, and come for the show. We're having a reshoot. And when I got this message from my manager, I said, this is nonsense. Program was fine. There's no problem in it. So we told that, surely we won't be coming, because we felt the program went perfectly fine. So they had the reshoot in the same studio, in the same setup. Maybe all the other panelists came, but I did not go. Maybe most of the audience came. They had a reshoot, and after a couple of weeks, they had that aired on the television satellite channel. And the best part of it was, when anyone sees the show, they are seeing me sitting there, nodding the head many a time, to things which I did not nod at. So what they did, they reshot the whole thing, and they changed the view, though I did not go the second time, but when they telecast it on air, it was shown as though it was shot once, and Dr. Zakir Naik was there, and was agreeing with the wrong things also. So this shows that the integrity of the producer was absolutely unjust. I don't blame the moderator. I mean, Farooq Sheikh, I can't blame him. He's being paid for his job. He did a good job initially. What he did next, I don't know, so I can't comment on that. But the end of the story is that when it was aired, it was made to look that Dr. Zakir Naik, fine, I did speak, and they showed portions of my answers which suited them more than the other part. But when it was aired on the channel, it was shown many a time that the views that I did not agree with, I was shown there as though I agreed with it. So this is what I mean by saying the integrity is very important. So what I say, that these shows, the producer and the moderator, they are doing it for the living. I'm not giving a speech for my living. I'm not here to speak about Islam for my living. I don't take a single penny from anyone. In fact, we give, you know. So because it is a bread and butter, many a time, the producer, they make a show which is liked more by the audience. They are more bothered about making what will sell more or will have a higher TRP rather than to know what is the truth. Same thing with the moderator. If the moderator is commanded by the producer and he chooses the moderator has little say in it. Or if the producer is neutral and the moderator wants to change the show, the moderator can change the show and the producer doesn't bother. So therefore both are important, the moderator as well as the person who's the producer. So the first show I had went off very well, but the end result, because they reshot it, it was a disaster.
But then you again trusted CNN IBN for another program.
That's
Your
right.
experience on
that
that?
was after many years. I don't know when I think I gave it after maybe 7-8 years after I appeared for the first show. I think it was maybe 2007, I believe, when I went for the CNN IBN show.
And your experience on that?
There, because it was a live panel discussion, and the issue, I think, was something to do with Muslims. I don't remember the main topic of that. It was done by
Rajdeep Sardesai.
Rajdeep Sardesai. And Rajdeep Sardesai, he was sitting in Delhi, and there were a few panelists in Delhi. One of them, as my memory goes, was the MP. I forgot the name, who was the editor of the Muslim India.
Sayyid Shahabuddin.
Sayyid Shahabuddin, correct. Sayyid Shahabuddin was there, and there were other couple of people in Delhi, and I was alone in Bombay. That too was not a good experience because I was hardly allowed to speak only twice. And when I said something, it wasn't heard there because the microphone is in their hand. So though it was a live show, I could only speak when I was allowed to speak. See, normally in a panel discussion, live, when I speak, the microphone is on, no one can cut me. But here I was in Bombay, they were in Delhi. And I was hearing from the headphone, which was through a mobile, I think, I don't know. So there were questions asked, though it was a live show. It was a live show, that was telecast live, but because of this problem that my microphone didn't work until they pressed the button. So there too, it was not a good experience. But because it was live, it didn't do much damage. Only thing that, fine, Dr. Zakir Naik didn't say much or wasn't given an opportunity since it was a live show. It was being telecast live. Because of that, I felt that there wasn't much damage except that I was not given enough opportunity.
They say twice hurt, third time shy. But then again you jumped into the ring. You went in and you appeared on the Rashtriya Sahara's RKB show. And its host, RK Bajaj, most people believe he is usually very critical about Muslims. That's what I understand. Why?
The reason I jumped for the third time was, it was an interview. The first two, the first was a panel discussion or a talk show with the live audience. They will telecast later on. The second was a live telecast So both were bad experiences. The third was the TV interview. Now, as I mentioned earlier, that in a TV interview, less damage can be done, but damage can be done. So initially I refused, but when I came to know it's a live telecast, then I thought, fine, the damage that can be done is less. They cannot edit my speech. So because it was a live telecast, and whatever that I was saying in the studios of Sahara, it was going live, I did not mind attending it, even though it was RKB. And I should say that though Mr. R.K. Bajaj did ask questions and tried to promote a view which he knows will create differences in the Muslim audience, and he did ask certain questions, but because it was live, overall the show was good, because I could answer what I wanted to answer, and there was no editing post-show. So based on that, I went for the RKB show the third time.
And then last year, we had Shekhar Gupta, the editor-in-chief of Indian Express, interviewing you on his very famous show, Walk the Talk. Was it because you were selected among the 100 most powerful Indians by the Indian Express? 100 most powerful Indians? That, or is some other reasons you agreed to go on his interview? And what was the experience there?
See, normal my answer when anyone wants to take my interview. Fine, as you asked me, Indian channels have appeared. These are the exclusive TV interviews I'm talking about. There are many snippets I've given to various other Indian channels, which I used to give earlier on ETV, Urdu, and many other snippets, asking my view on certain issues. Even that has stopped now. Because when I give an answer for 5 minutes, they edit 1 minute and show. So besides these 5, I've been on many other Indian channels. But mainly these are small comments on certain issue taking place, whether it be on education for Muslims or whether such topics. Coming to this, why did I accept the interview?
Especially because Shekhar Gupta puts many a prime minister and top leaders of the world in a very hot seat. That's why we're asking you this special question.
So the first time when they asked me to appear for the interview, my answer was no. But then my colleagues and my friends told, that Shekhar Gupta, Walk the Talk, is one of the best interviews that is held in the country. It has the highest TRP. And I, because I don't watch much of the channels, though I'm a man of the media, I appear on TV channels, but I personally don't watch much of television. I did not know what was Walk the Talk until my friends and my colleagues, they told me. It is a very important interview conducted. It's one of the best in which the editor-in-chief of Indian Express, Shekhar Gupta, he conducts this interview. And he's a man of integrity. And he normally interviews presidents, prime ministers, and celebrities of a very high level. And he's a man who you can trust. But before I conducted the interview, I saw to it that I spoke to him. And 1 week before he conducted the interview, he came from Delhi and he spoke to me for more than an hour. And when we interacted, I asked him that after you record this program, which will be talk show while walking, Walk the Talk, I asked him that will it be shown completely or will you edit it? He said it will be unedited. You can take from me my word that 99% will be unedited, maybe a little bit here or there if you have to, fit in the time duration. So he gave me the word that he will not edit. And he'll see to it that my view is not altered. So because he gave this word to me, and I checked up his background, and I trusted my colleague, I agreed for the interview, which he came to Bombay again from Delhi, and we had the talk on the Worli sea face, where it was again for approximately 1 hour. With the ads, it was approximately 45 to 50 minutes. And I believe it was the best experience that I had with the Indian TV channels. And I trust that Mr. Shekhar Gupta, he's a man of his word. And when I saw the interview, I was very happy. He did not edit anything. He did not change my view. Though the same questions that were so challenging were asked by him. He gave me chance to clarify. I gave my point of view. And believe me, he was a man of his word. He did not edit anything, and he kept it as it is. And that's the reason I liked that show. And that show, next day after it was telecast for the first time, it came as a full-page article on all 21 or 22 editions of Indian Express throughout India. So really that was, besides coming on the television satellite channel, it even came as an article, a full-page article in all the editions of Indian Express.
That's really courageous. And that's what makes India, in one way, very great. When you have courageous people like Shekhar Gupta presenting various viewpoints for what they are. whether it's the Islamic viewpoint, whether it's the Maoist viewpoint, whether it's a communist, and different. And we have to really congratulate him on that. Before we ask Dr. Zakir Naik himself about the program, his comments, his introspection, I would like to present the feelings, the comments, the analysis from the hundreds of emails that we have received, mostly from the NDTV website itself and many from the Facebook, as well as a few from the other websites before our audience. Let us see how they feel about it. And of course, we have amongst us a panel of enlightened people on this topic, breaking the stereotype, Muslim identity and popular culture, who have strong opinions of the subject. Many brothers here behind me, on my right, on my left. We'll take questions from them too, get their comments before we move on to the session of Dr. Zakir Naik himself giving his expert comments. I would prefer to verbatim put forward before all of you and our audience the email comments verbatim without, as a moderator, manipulating any of the words they have written, so that I'm not charged of the critical comment. Maybe you cut and chopped off and didn't give an adequate meaning. So kindly excuse me if some of the spellings or the sentence construction might not be very appropriate, but it's apt to the situation that we present them as we receive them. I begin with short comments which we received in large quantities. Comments like from Tahur Razia, Dr. Zakir Naik, we are waiting for your sequel, Jazakallah khair. From Manzoor Ahmad, give answers to all of that questions in Peace TV. I was upset to see you in debate. 1 hour is not enough for that debate. We had, in the earlier instance itself, a long comment from one brother, Imran Ali. I would urge your patience to hear his comments, which I found very introspective. The moment I heard Dr. Zakir Naik is taking part in the NDTV talk, We the People, I made myself available to see how this time Barkha Dutt is going to sideline the arguments of a renowned personality. Well, I forgot that there is a level of dishonesty from her side using which she can sideline just about anyone. As expected, he was not given enough chance to speak, and the focus was completely on Shah Rukh Khan of Bollywood. Not just that, second person who got the chance to speak more was Karan Johar. Dr. Zakir Naik needs to understand that such shows are meant to just punch each other's arguments with a single liner. One cannot try to explain big concepts in just few seconds. Although his statements were bold, huge and true, too much of noise pollution sidelined them to some extent. To top this, Barkha Dutt, as expected, did not give fair time to Dr. Zakir Naik. This was clearly evident. But hold on, that's Dr. Zakir Naik. He just doesn't walk away without really sparking a thought process in people's mind, irrespective of how much time he's given. And as I thought, he did the same. If you carefully observe his statements, they tickled the brain of the viewers who would later go and check its authenticity. He knew there were millions of people watching the show, including viewers who don't watch Peace TV. And he took this as a golden opportunity to ignite the spark of reinvestigating the 9/11 attack, which was the origin of this entire concept of terrorism and Muslims getting stereotyped. He clearly informed there were 75 DVDs released of top American analysts and professors who proved that 9/11 was an inside job. He also quoted two websites names before Barkha Dutt cut him off. He quoted http 911truth.org and one more site name which slipped my mind. People would surely go back and check these and hence find out the truth for themselves. So even though time given to him was not fair, he completed his job. He made the following punchlines. There is nothing called moderate or liberal Muslim. There is only practicing Muslim, partially practicing Muslim, and non practicing Muslims. It is the duty of a Muslim to tell others about the truth of Islam. Blaming Osama bin Laden or Taliban to be terrorists based on CNN and BBC versions is wrong and unfair. It is important to give fair hearing to such allegations and check the truth before blaming someone to be a terrorist. The videos shown are nothing but morphed, which generally the media is good at. 9/11 was an inside job and cannot be performed by Arabs. Physical appearance, beard, cap, etc., do not come under the 70 major sins of Islam. So there are more important things over and above the physical appearance in Islam. But to follow complete Islam, physical look also is important. These statements were more than enough to make people think twice about their stance. Shah Rukh himself was carefully listening to these arguments and looked impressed. That's my observation. Maybe I'm wrong. Also, he boldly spoke out the truth without fearing anyone. Unlike others, his confidence showed his trust on Allah and how he can go to any limit to speak the truth without fearing anything. Based on this email on the website by Imran Ali, we had responses which are interesting too of one or two other brothers. Mustafa Hussain responds, "May peace, mercy, and blessings of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be on all of you. Today, I happened to see the program We the People, in which all the Bollywood people were there, along with Brother Zakir. And I'm totally unhappy to tell that the media once again played double standards. Barkadat, supposed to be a generalist, forgot the rights of time allotment. Many questions asked to Zakir Bhai were given only maximum 30 seconds to answer, whereas others were given 2 to 3 minutes. All the answers to the questions were interrupted by others to cut down Brother Zakir's answers and get it out of context. Just see the double standards of the media. I request all the people reading this message to stand up and do the best to stop this evil, as there is a Sahih Hadith that whoever sees the evil around him should stop with his hand. If not, then tongue. If not, at least by the heart. This is the lowest level of Iman. According to me, these media people have cheated Zakir Bhai, or else he wouldn't have accepted those sort of rules. However much people try to suppress Islam, inshallah, by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will grow more than that, inshallah. This comment was followed by another brother, Brother Naveed. He says, Allah is always with the truth. This media themselves show that they were wrong and not true people. As Allah said, truth stands out clear from falsehood. Though Brother Zakir Naik was not given chance, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed the world through their channel how patient he was and peaceful to tolerate their injustice. If Shah Rukh Khan and others want to lead their lives according to their perspective without following the rules of Allah, they are at loss and not realizing it now. But when the truth will come in front of them, till that time it will be very late for them to tell now, I want to be a practicing Muslim. They may live a wealthy and famous life in this world, but what will be their fate after they die? Not thinking? Maybe Allah gave hidayah to all humankind to walk on the straight path and give Brother Zakir Naik more knowledge and power to stand firm for Islam and protect him always. Ameen. All our prayers are with him. To this, there's a response from a true Indian Muslim. That's how he calls himself. If anyone should be downcast out there, it should be Dr. Zakir. He supposedly is a learned scholar and knows the ins and outs of Islam, or so he says. He says Osama is not responsible for the 9/11. He's spreading a wrong word again, and that's a bad move, as he has many followers. I'm sorry, but I beg to differ on this. Websites, journals, media might say what they want, but a person's words can be altered. What attire is Dr. Zakir dressed in? Why does he pose for photos in a suit? Why not wear the dress of the Arabs when he proclaims to go all out on Islam? Considering this man has so many followers, he shouldn't spread a wrong word saying Taliban, Osama, etc. wasn't responsible for 9/11. That's absolutely wrong. I don't go by what CNN, BBC, or any other biased channels have said, but by the people themselves who have taken ownership of what's happened. I don't think anywhere in our religion has something been mentioned as killing the innocent to prove a point. In fact, no religion teaches that. So again, I wonder what these extremists were playing at. The fact that he perceives that Taliban and Osama aren't responsible for 9/11 doesn't go down well with the audience. More judgments about Islam are made by the general public thanks to this hero. It is very easy for us to sit in one safe country, state, and enjoy the luxuries of living it up. Go try living in Congo, Mozambique, Iraq, Zaire, etc. The extremists from other religions will massacre you. Extremism in any form and any religion is nasty. It's an evil to society. It should be suppressed. By doing anything in excess, even a fruit of Jannah can turn into poison. By writing this mail, I didn't mean to hurt anyone's sentiments. I'm sorry if I have. Instead, I want to just reach out to all of you in my own little way to tell you that although I'm not a 5 times namazi, I do have certain values in me that I believe are in line with what Islam preaches. I'm sure all of you are far better, pious, and balanced Muslims than me. I firmly believe that in my own little way, I will try to make people change their wrong perception about Islam by projecting Islam to be tolerant, humanity respecting religion. Cheers. I and P.S. Barkha or nobody else was being biased. If anyone is biased, it is Dr. Zakir. Come on, it's a freaking debate where there will be differences of opinion, not one-tracked conversation. Brothers and sisters, you would have noticed we have had some positive comments, some critical. This was one of the comments which was critical of the earlier statements. I'm presenting the various viewpoints in a balanced format before all of you, so you appreciate the kind of responses we are getting to the program. Some positive, some neutral, some critical. Then we have a response to this email on the same site by Sarfaraz Ali Khan. Walaikum assalam to all who wished me and assalamu alaikum for others to join later. This is in response to True Indian Muslim had said about the show. As my brother has said, he doesn't have to go to the CNN or BBC to check whether Osama planned the 9/11 attacks. If he did not see it on the media channels, then where did he see it and on which channel he saw that Osama took ownership? Or which newspaper did he read in? See, I'm not supporting Osama. If he has done it, we condemn. But if he has not, then brother, just on the basis of suspicion, 50,000 Afghanis were killed. I would like to ask you, have you seen Loose Change? If you have not, then see it. This documentary has not been done by any Muslim. It has been done by an American. And you will see that the Taliban, speaking in English, though you might not understand Arabic, they asked for a proof from the Americans that Osama was behind it. And they said, if they provide it, then they themselves will hand over Osama. This telecast was just shown once on the news channels, and after that, it was never shown. Brother, you said go to Iraq, Zaire, Congo. Brother, I would like to just wear the Muslim attire and go to Assam. The Ulfa is going to butcher you like anything. They are specially trained to kill Muslims. 749 confirmed attacks. Guess what Zakir Naik did? In his full attire, gave a public speech. Alhamdulillah, this is the power of Islam, to walk on the way of Allah. If you are not doing your duty, don't ask others to stop doing dawah. I appreciate that you are trying to teach others in your own sweet way. But what about the rest who would teach them? This man runs a channel which is viewed by over 70 million people. It has outbeaten God TV. Brother, our job is to deliver the message, not to convert them, so that on the judgment day you can give the shahada that you delivered his message to them. But at least try. And who knows, you might open the doors of heaven for someone. And this man has opened the doors to heaven for hundreds of people. May Allah give peace and show all of us the right path. That was a long and interesting discussion and comments on this article initiated by Imran Ali. We have Brother Manoj Mishra, a non-Muslim, who has given this interesting comment. It's strange that a person of Dr. Zakir Naik's caliber and fame, an expert in the field of comparative religion, is not given time to speak, but instead people like Soha Ali, Shah Rukh Khan, and lesser known Kabir Khan is given all the time to speak on issues which they hardly know. Let the specialist of that field speak out rather than novices of the field. Yes, if Soha or SRK or Kabir Khan or Salman Khan speak about films, it's okay. Though I am a Hindu and have seen Dr. Zakir Naik speaking on Peace TV and debating live around the globe on the various topics of comparative religion and related issues, I can tell you he is uncomparable. Barkha, by not giving time to Dr. Naik, has done great injustice to the stature of the person. Dr. Naik is Dr. Naik. Dr. Naik should never come to any TV debate where he is not allowed to speak or express his views. Thanks. Thanks. Humayun Kabir says, I have watched the videos. Dr. Zakir Naik should not have gone there. Nobody was stopped before they finished talking, but Dr. Naik was stopped every time when he was about to finish his explanation. If you ask an engineer to help a cancer patient, what will happen? I feel sorry for Dr. Zakir Naik again. Allah helps us all. Sajjad Ahangar says, it was ridiculous to listen to some people who talked about things of which they had no idea whatsoever, and each one tried to formulate a definition for Islam just to fit his or her practicing of the religion, if they do any. It was equally disgusting to see Barkhan never letting Dr. Zakir speak on anything. He was the most knowledgeable person on the podium, but sadly made a mute spectator. We have a non-Muslim sister, name is Kirti Mishra. She says, we the people is not representative and totally undemocratic. We means Barkha and a leftist friend who show and talk their biased opinions, and a majority of the people's opinion is sidelined. What a mockery of neutral journalism. We have another non-Muslim brother, Vijay Lugani, who says, more we discuss about minority communities, more we create problems for them. Everybody in our country should feel equal to each other. Nobody should be suspicious to each other. If somebody does or act against the law should take its course. SRK was best in discussion. Before I go on with the further comments, I would like to throw open the floor for comments from our learned brothers, our audience collected here today. We thank you for your patient listening to these long comments and initiation of understanding of this topic, TV talk shows and analysis. May I request the brothers who would like to put forward their comments first, and later on any question. We'll allow questions later on to Dr. Zakir. I would like your comments regarding the TV talk shows. Yes, brother.
Well, my observation and comment on the program of NDTV 24/7 was that Dr. Zakir Naik was the only person out of the 8 speakers who did not interject any speaker. And all the others in the panel continuously kept on interjecting. The most out of them was Alec and Kabir. In fact, Kabir interjected Dr. Zakir Naik at least 3 times. It was as though he was asked to cut short whenever he was about to speak. And if you notice that Dr. Zakir Naik kept raising his hands for about more than 75% of the time of the entire program, and what was shown on the TV was just that raising once or maybe twice. So the program was definitely edited over there. What I would say is that Dr. Zakir Naik was the only person out there who was following the rules of the program like a true Muslim, in spite of him being sidelined for the entire program.
Thank you, Jazakallah.